People receive hundreds of digital messages a day, from push notifications to emails. So how do you engage your top prospects and stand out? By sending personalized gifts the old-fashioned way with Sendoso. Sendoso helps you use gift giving and direct mail throughout your customer lifecycle, from lead generation to converting customers into brand advocates. From sourcing to sending and centralizing the direct mail and gifting process, Sendoso helps you scale your gift giving, stand out, and keep your brand top of mind. Visit sendoso.com to learn more.
You're listening to B2B Growth, a daily podcast for B2B leaders. We've interviewed names you've probably heard before, like Gary Vaynerchuk and Simon Sinek, but you've probably never heard from the majority of our guests. That's because the bulk of our interviews aren't with professional speakers and authors. Most of our guests are in the trenches leading sales and marketing teams. They're implementing strategy. They're experimenting with tactics. They're building the fastest growing B2B companies in the world. My name is James Carberry. I'm the founder of Sweetfish Media, a podcast agency for B2B brands, and I'm also one of the co-hosts of this show. When we're not interviewing sales and marketing leaders, you'll hear stories from behind the scenes of our own business. We'll share the ups and downs of our journey as we attempt to take over the world. Just kidding. Well, maybe. Let's get into the show. Welcome back to B2B Growth. I'm your host for today's episode. I'm Kris Rudeegraap, the CEO of Sendoso. This is another episode in the ABM series. And today I am joined by Jaime Romero, the VP of Global ABM at MRP. Welcome to the show, Jaime.
Thank you.
Awesome. Before we get into some questions and kind of some banter, would love to learn a little bit more about MRP. Maybe you could just tell listeners a bit about MRP and then we can jump in.
Absolutely. So MRP is what we consider the only enterprise class predictive ABM platform. And basically what that means, first point on enterprise class, the kinds of customers we work with are companies that have multiple lines of businesses, multiple products, operate in multiple geographies, global customers where we have a global footprint to help them and also provide them with a really hands-on layer of service. As far as a predictive ABM platform goes, there's 3 stages to that. Number 1 is account insights. We aggregate data from multiple data sources, including first-party data, MRP's own second-party data, as well as third-party data sources, append them all at the account level. The predictive engine then aggregates all that, uses machine learning and AI to score and uncover different propensities at different accounts in terms of the kinds of behavior they're demonstrating and the kinds of messaging that might work for them. And then the third layer is contact activation, which is all about turning that insight into something actionable. It's running programmatic media against these accounts, doing email marketing, social media advertising, inside sales, and direct mail to some degree, which I know you guys are a big fan of.
Yeah. Very helpful introduction. So MRP's been around for a while though, right? Before even kind of ABM became a popularized term.
Yeah, it's funny. Our CEO always says, we've been doing ABM since day one. And the MRP's roots are on the inside sales business where we have, right now we have a global workforce of a few hundred people generating band qualified appointments for our clients. And when you're dealing with that high level of qualification, you have to operate at an account level. You can't send, really highly qualified leads to a client that are, 2 people at the same company. It doesn't make business sense. So we've always operated at the account level. And then over the years, we've launched new products, acquired a few companies, and introduced the software component of the business. And that's where Prelytics comes in. And Prelytics is almost the heartbeat of our business now. It aggregates the data. It prioritizes accounts that inform the rest of our business. It informs who we're running advertising against. It informs who we're calling for inside sales. And it basically informs all of the marketing touch points for accounts, whether we execute those touch points or our customers execute those touch points through their marketing automation or through companies like yours.
Awesome. Yeah, I think we've both got kind of unique backgrounds because, I started Sendoso and even started out of a necessity from being a salesperson working accounts before really
thinking that ABM was kind of a key, marketing term to talk about. So it's kind of, I think, ABM before ABM was around, there's a handful of companies that I think were doing it really well before, that term even came about.
Yeah, it's funny because I think ABM is evolving as time goes on, and Lori Wisdover at Forrester even said it. She's just like, ABM is just really good marketing. That's all.
Yeah, exactly. Well, one thing I know that ABM tries to do is bring together sales and marketing, especially around the alignment of, which accounts to go after, et cetera. Maybe you could give me a little background there and kind of your perspective on that.
Yeah. So, we look at alignment from an ABM perspective in essentially three different buckets. It's sales and marketing alignment, which, boils down to, are sales and marketing aligning on accounts? Are they aligning on goals? Are they aligning on activities? Because it's really important that you're connecting sales and marketing and who you're marketing to, and you're working towards the same ends, albeit, the account you're trying to market to or the same goal. It's not productive when a sales organization has, a $100 million revenue goal and marketing's working on $1 million revenue goal. There's an imbalance there. So I think there's a few fundamental elements of alignment that have to happen on the sales and marketing side. And even Forrester released a stat, something like 8% of companies are demonstrate strong alignment between sales and marketing. I mean, the opposite of that is 92% of companies do not have strong sales and marketing alignment. And that's cost. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. And it costs, the IDC stat is, 10% of your revenue is lost because at least 10% of your revenue is lost because you don't have that strong sales and marketing alignment. So for us as a business, it's really important. Anytime we work with the customer, it's like, great, here are your goals, marketing, but we want to talk to the sales team. We want to talk to the sales leader to make sure the outcomes of what we're doing are going to be actioned appropriately by the sales force. And more importantly, so the sales force understands what we're delivering for them. They understand how to action the data. They understand, if a lead is a certain stage of the funnel, like how you're supposed to act differently with leads at the top of the funnel versus the bottom of the funnel. So, sales and marketing alignment is definitely first and foremost the number one thing that we look at. Number two is what I jokingly say, marketing and marketing alignment. Marketing has to align with themselves. Who was it? I think it was Gartner, maybe. They said the average marketing or chief marketer, maybe chief martech, one of those organizations said the average marketing organization has 91 tools in their marketing tech stack. Now they include things like Dropbox and Outlook and so on, but even that, 91 different tools. So it's really hard for a marketing team to be able to unify this messaging across all of these landing page builders, their display advertising, their direct mail, everything they're doing is oftentimes standalone or very loosely connected. And, by next year, Gartner's saying that 85% of interaction with an enterprise is going to be without interacting with a human. And to me, that almost sounded crazy until you think about the existing stat, which is, 2/3 of the buyer journey is already done before they even talk to your salesperson, right? So it's just getting worse for a sales org and for marketing org in terms of how they're interacting with their customers, and marketing just needs to be able to establish a tech stack that is integrated and that ingests data from a lot of different data sources so they understand who to talk to and when to talk to them and what to say to them.
I love it. And then, I love those stats, and I love marketing needing to align with marketing. That just makes me smile.
Yeah, and then especially for our customers, when you're thinking about enterprise customers, it's, we've got customers that have Marketo in one group and Eloquent in another group, and with different databases. So it definitely gets a little messy. And I also recognize the challenge it is for a lot of these bigger companies to actually align all that and have one solution for, a marketing team of a few hundred or 1,000, The last alignment bucket for me is marketing and customer alignment. I've been doing marketing for over 15 years now, and I absolutely execute marketing and have executed marketing on a marketing campaign timeline basis. And customers don't buy on my timeline. They're not going to buy something from me because I decided to put them in a bucket to send them a direct mail. or an email or a phone call because I put them in a bucket with 300 other prospects. So marketing needs to figure out, how do I execute marketing on my customer's timeline? How do I identify when they're having pain points, or when sales has the timing of an account to the point where then marketing can get involved and some really targeted and personalized interactions with that account. So it's, sales and marketing alignment, marketing and marketing alignment, and marketing and customer alignment are, how I'm seeing, these three buckets where at least MRP can help, because then we look at ABM as a solution to all that. ABM delivers higher ROI. ABM consistently outperforms campaign-based marketing programs. And ABM fundamentally forces sales and marketing to look at the strategy and forces an alignment. And you see, there's stats out in the marketplace that support this. We see it with our own customers in terms of our customers seeing higher pipeline values. They see higher win rates. They're seeing higher productivity from sales because the focus is the energy spent by marketing and sales on accounts is aligned.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. Another piece of the alignment that I'm curious on, since you look after global ABM, do you see, good alignment in terms of marketing across LATAM and EMEA as well?
I've seen companies do it well. I've seen companies not do it well. We do it, and it's a very challenging thing to do. I always go back to our head of sales in EMEA and APJ, who always told me, when you market to America, it's a huge population, a huge target market with 50 states. Well, when you're marketing to EMEA, a lot of Americans look at EMEA like 50 states, where the truth is it's like marketing to 20 different Americas. So when you're marketing to EMEA, a lot of companies who are at least first entering into that market, they just like, all right, I've got my message for Europe, or I got my message for the Middle East, or for Africa. When the truth is, it's like the messaging has to be customized by country. Laws are country-based, so you think about GDPR, but all that gets implemented on a country-by-country basis. The EU has their guidelines, but every country has their own version of it, which makes it even that much more challenging. And then things like incentives vary by country. When you email somebody, sometimes we'll email somebody in Germany and the reply we'll get is, where did you get my data? And the reply we'll get from somebody in the UK is, tell me more about that. So it's just really massaging and tuning your message by country. So that makes it way more challenging to align to the customer and to sales and to your own stack when you have different, on your own tech stack especially, you have to account for different compliance regulations and different accounts. You might have one account as a customer in America, but not in Europe. So there definitely is a complexity there that companies need to invest in. And, one of the beauties of ABM now is the tools help you do that in a much more seamless way.
Totally. Yeah, I think the localization, the personalization piece is huge. And I think that also relates and is relevant to kind of humanizing kind of the ABM process. Do you have any thoughts around that in terms of how to, make marketing less, marketing-like and more human-like?
Yeah, so we did a white paper on humanizing ABM, and we used to, when I was at an agency before MRP, it was we always talk about that last mile being the human touch. So marketing, at some point, people buy from people; they don't just buy from companies. It's in particular enterprise. I've bought plenty of stuff on Amazon that's not a person hasn't involved themselves in that transaction. But on the enterprise, at the end of the day, people buy from people. And I think about it from my own buying habits. We were looking at like Drift, for example, and Drift would be cool to just, go online and put in my credit card and boom, I have Drift. But, at the end of the day, I needed to talk to somebody. We needed to negotiate. We needed to understand what the value prop is and how to implement. So the thing for me about humanizing ABM, especially when it comes to that alignment, is understanding who you're talking to. It's that human element, the cultural factors at a company, the decision makers, the influencers, how long a purchase cycle is. And I actually have on my whiteboard right now, as I'm thinking about how to execute a much more human-based marketing approach, is thinking about, great, we want to sell into a VP of marketing, but there's a whole legal team that is an influencer in the decision. And they're asking, are you GDPR compliant? And then CCPA is coming down the pipe really soon. Are you compliant with that? Are you getting consent? So having ammunition for sales to address some of those challenges. And then IT is going to come in and be like, hey, this is a great tool, but you are not touching my Salesforce. okay, I have to be ready for that,
Yeah,
sales,
exactly.
understanding
And
what
then
the value prop is
procurement as
there. So,
well.
yep, I have procurement's another one, and they're funny because they're like the last mile, and you don't think about them until the very end, and they can put a stop to everything if they wanted to,
Totally.
and or readjust all your commercial negotiation or reset all that. So it's thinking about humans at the other end of this. And there's actually a great book. I don't think it's new. I read it not too long ago, but the Challenger Customer, which after I read that, I'm like, bing, it's like, wow, all this just really connected itself to ABM in such a much clearer way, because it talks about all these influencers, and it talks about, how many people in the purchase decision and your advocates within a particular account. So it was a great read. Highly recommend that for anybody practicing ABM.
Yeah, I think one interesting thing, and we've seen it here a bit, is when you think about the buying committee, and this is even as it relates to when you're even renewing a customer or expanding a customer, you really think, okay, our ICP is this XYZ, maybe it's an IT person, but really there's the security group, the procurement group, where you can't forget about them. You also have to think about, how is this person going to be part of this buying committee, and what do I need to do to influence them as well?
Yeah, and some of this, some of this can be product specific too, right? So you mentioned security. We've gone through a dozen security audits in the last year just so that to confirm that a company can actually buy our software. Yeah. So if we didn't think about that when we were building our product, we would go through a 3-month, 6-month sales cycle, and then at the very end, the security team is gonna be like, I'm sorry, they're not compliant. We can't buy this tool. And I'm like, oh no, we don't want to get to that point. So, fortunately for us, we've passed all those audits. But if you're not thinking about the other people who would influence a buying decision, you're going to end up getting stuck. You're going to have a lot of hard lessons you're going to end up learning as you grow your business and as you grow your marketing org and your product org.
Totally. One thing I'm familiar with is, how ABM relates to more of a direct sales or direct marketing strategy and approach. I see you guys also play in the channel game. Are you seeing that kind of the channel is also thinking about ABM, and do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so the channel is definitely a lot harder simply because of the way the economics play out in terms of funding and which channel partners can participate in what and how you justify programs. And I've seen, a lot of companies say, I want to roll out ABM in the channel, but then it's like, it's a typical marketing challenges you have overall. It's, when you're talking to an executive team, it's like, I want to roll out ABM. Great. How many MQLs is that going to provide? And you're like, well, it doesn't really work that way. It's an aligned goal. So in the channel, I see a lot of the same thing where the company's saying, I want to roll out ABM in the channel. But then when you get down the channel, it's like, all right, how much revenue did this program generate? How many MQLs, SQLs, bad qualified leads did this program generate? And sometimes it's not as clear cut as that when you're measuring ABM, which is another area that, that's challenging.
We could talk about measuring ABM for a whole other hour.
Yeah. As I'm talking, I'm debating how much down the rabbit hole do I want to go right now?
Yeah. So you've been at MRP for like 6 years now, right? Or so?
Yeah. So I was at an agency prior to MRP. MRP acquired us. So in all, I've been at this part of my career for about 7 years, but MRP is January, I think, will be the official 5-year mark. So yeah.
Oh, very cool. And have you seen like kind of a lot of internal alignment towards ABM from an executive level? As I know, one of the keys to really getting buy-in from a strategy across sales, success, marketing, et cetera, is really executive alignment. So have you guys seen a lot of great exec alignment towards ABM?
That is, I will say, if I would have emailed you questions to ask me, that might have been one of the questions I would have emailed you to ask me. So I have actually 2 jobs here at MRP. First, I'm global head of marketing. So I'm responsible for marketing, brand, and everything else globally. But I'm also head of customer delivery on our software business. And the reason I bring that up is because, part of my job is every customer we get on Prelytics and some of our marketing services, my team is responsible for executing on those programs. So every time we make a commitment to a customer that we're going to execute an ABM program, my team is the one that executes that program. So because I run marketing, it's like, all right, we are customer number one. So everything we do for our customers, we do for MRP's own marketing. So we've got Prolitics integrated with our CRM. We're doing our own inside sales campaigns, our own direct mails, our own constant syndication, our own programmatic media. And it allows me to challenge my other half to say, hey, I just got this report for the team, this quote unquote ABM report, and it's either really great or it's missing a few things. And I can easily go down to my other half and say, hey guys, we're missing a few things here, or this could be better that way. So we call it the customer first initiative, but it basically, as our CEO likes to say, we eat our own dog food. We practice what we preach, and MRP is MRP's first customer and number one customer. So to answer your question, bringing it back, absolutely, we are aligned at the executive level in what ABM can and should deliver for our customers. And we work really hard at improving it every step of the way. Because if it doesn't work, then as a business, our marketing org is going to fail. So I'm putting myself on the line the same as our customers would put themselves on the line, which, circles back to the human element. Part of this is, when you're buying software, you're putting a little PC on the line. And in some cases, it could be a career decision. You're going to spend $1 million on something. And if you're at the wrong company at the wrong time, that could be a career changing decision if it doesn't go well. So I want to make sure that our customers buy something from us. They have confidence and trust in what we can deliver for them.
Excellent. This was a great conversation, Jaime. I think we could go on for hours. If anyone wants to, reach out to you directly, can you share your email address or anything in case someone wants to follow up with you? Especially, I think that Humanizing ABM white paper sounds really interesting. We will link to that too in the notes for this podcast as well.
Yeah, I'm happy to take emails from anybody, jromero@mrpfd.com. And I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. I'd love for as many people to engage with me on LinkedIn as possible. And that's just Jaime, Jaime Romero. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Jaime, for your time. It was great talking with you.
Thanks, Kris. Really appreciate the convo.
We totally get it. We publish a ton of content on this podcast, and it can be a lot to keep up with. That's why we've started the B2B Growth Big Three, a no-fluff email that boils down our 3 biggest takeaways from an entire week of episodes. Sign up today at sweetfishmedia.com/big3. That's sweetfishmedia.com/big3.